It is Wednesday. RonMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Well, Davey, there are some amazing stories in North America. There was a great result, a couple hours ago? Maybe a little longer. As we talked about the
6:45 a.m.
6:45 a.m. Eastern Time, Dave.
Watched all of it on Sportsnet. James Sharman on location.
Yeah,
big shout out to the 65 idiot countries that voted against it, and the one idiot country that said no to either bid. But nonetheless, majority ruled, and it's a very good day for this continent.
It is. For the continent, it's a great way of putting it. Not as good in the capital of Canada, in Ottawa, where there is yet another example of how social media has its good points and its extremely disturbing, disgusting bad ones. Also, they're having a good time in Washington, the other capital. Ovi's really, Ovi is making the most of this championship as much as I've ever seen anybody. And you think about, there's guys out there who have a lot of rings. The Gretzkys, the Messiers. I mean, you go through, I guess. Have you ever seen anyone make as much? Maybe just the time, because you can see him on 25 different channels and different shows and social media. But Ovi is really making sure people see him enjoying the Stanley Cup win for the Capitals. And as they say, so much more. Well, it was, as Dave said, 6:45 our time, the announcement that the combined, unified Mexico, United States, and Canada will win and have won the bid to host the, is it 2026?
Yep. And there will be games in Toronto. There will be games in Edmonton. I'm guessing Montreal.
No, it is Montreal. It's definitely Montreal.
Because BC still wants in, even though they missed the timeline. I think it would be a fraud if they actually let them back in after saying no to it. So, great job, NDP government. Great job. Way to tunnel, narrow focus. Don't worry about anything else in the future.
Yeah.
The multi-billion dollars that will come into this country. Okay, you said no to it.
Could you keep your blinders up for a second, though?
You're absolutely. Sorry.
Okay. And pipelines.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
Just get rid of them. Get rid of them.
And you wonder why everybody hates BC.
Yeah. And they do.
Great, beautiful province.
Yeah, beautiful province.
Amazing.
But you didn't make it.
No, and you didn't invite. You didn't make the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, you didn't invent them.
You didn't invent. That's what I was looking for.
That's right.
The hell was I trying to say that?
But when you talk to someone from Vancouver, the way they talk about themselves, well, look what we've got. Look what we've done. What you've done? Did you move the glaciers yourself? Was it a call to God himself when it was made? Really annoying. And Dave, look, if you're running this thing, and look, there are so many political strings when it comes to FIFA and those results. To think that you don't have maybe the backing of certain cities in the beginning, and then you're going to turn around and want, oh, you want it? Okay, we're back in now. No, you don't get to do that. You just don't. And look, will it have its challenges? Well, if you're BMO Field, you will add, like you did for the Grey Cup, which means I think the most you can get is what, about 45 in there somewhere? I don't think I wouldn't hit 50, I don't think. So I'm assuming that's the pitch you'd play on. And, of course, the real challenge, which is just so bizarre, is the Big O, because that's what they're talking about.
Are they really talking about the Big O?
Yes, they are. And, of course, you cannot play on field turf or maybe it's still the old AstroTurf in that building because it's terrible.
You don't want to. I've walked on that after Eastern Finals, and not a word of a lie. Go outside to your parking lot, your street, your crescent, your road. thin layer of green AstroTurf that they call AstroTurf, which it isn't. Thin layer that used to put on your campsites and stuff like that when you were a kid, probably in the 70s and 80s.
What you see in
people know what I'm talking about.
You know the balconies you'd have in like a shitty apartment.
That yes, and then put that down on the concrete and try falling on it.
Oh God!
I'm just saying. Okay. I hope you're wearing shoulder pads because it's going to hurt.
Okay, the Grey Cup that you despise, the Calgary win over Winnipeg. Yeah. Okay, so it was Vince Danielson. Yeah, Vince Danielson. Yeah. So we're walking across.
Mark Bullrichter was a big part of that.
Bullrichter, that guy
was a horse.
Oh, that made him a superstar.
Yeah.
People started to know that weird university he was from that no one had heard of in Nebraska. But I'm walking with Vince Danielson, and I'm asking him about the big game, and it's normally not stuff I do. I just happen to be, so I'm doing it for the team 1050, another 1050 sports attempt. And as I'm walking to hear this clank, I couldn't figure out what it was, Dave. It was a grate, for water, for the what would you call it? Was it the irrigation? But so water can drip through. It was painted green. It's metal. Because I did. What the fuck is that? No, you don't want to turn your route on that one.
No.
I go, but it's metal. He goes, yeah. Welcome to our world, and that's what you're dealing with. But those aside, because they're trying to figure out how you can get turf in that facility. So do you open up the roof? See, they don't have enough. Here's the one thing: it just won't die. They don't have enough money to tear it down. Aside from the fact that there is a subway stop underneath it. So that's what causes that sort of conversation. And they really don't want to be putting more money into something that basically crippled the province for like 50 years.
Yeah.
It's 50 years old.
And let that be a lesson to everybody out there that wants the Olympics to come to your town.
Oh, yeah.
It is a money pit, a massive money pit. The thing I like about it, Mike, is and I haven't looked into this, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But maybe like a nice renovation of it would be great. Like you do cut the roof off, right? Because you don't want anything falling in, and you turn it into an open area stadium stricly for 2026 because that might be cheaper than building something.
No, it is. It is. There's no question. I think. I mean, you're more on the construction side than I certainly would ever be. But it has to be infinitely cheaper to do that because they simply just don't have the money. They cannot knock it down and put something else. And I don't know. There's really no other facility,
right,
that they could be that big. So those are the challenges that they have. Commonwealth, no brainer.
No, that's easy.
When they built Commonwealth, for all the ribbing they get on this show for years against Edmonton, the one thing they did right is that building. I've been in it
many times.
It was done right. It still looks good. And it said in Toronto, BMO, but it was 6:45 today where the announcement comes across, and when it's FIFA, sometimes you cross your fingers. So I'm going to say this is property of FIFA. I'm guessing, who knows, maybe the BBC. This is what it sounded like.
2026 FIFA World Cup. The member associations of Canada, Mexico and USA have been selected by the FIFA Congress to host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And that is such joy. Listen to this ovation. A smattering of applause. Look at that. No one cheering.
Delegate, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there you have it, the joint bid from the United States, Mexico.
What voice is that?
Ladies and gentlemen. The 2026 World Cup.
Was that Hervé Villagez's mom?
A choice between.
That was weird. And now, ladies and gentlemen, can I? Was it Dr. Ruth?
Might be.
Who was that voice? So congratulations, huge news, and I would say that for the timing of the CPL, boy, this is a gift from God, Dave. I mean, think about it. Now you've got your domestic league, where, of course, there will be a vote to see whether Canada, technically a host country, should be a host team, which means your team should be in.
There will be.
And
you know what?
The only thing that scares me, Dave?
Yeah.
They're voting on it.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, it's not guaranteed.
But they've improved it to 48 teams.
Yes, that is correct. That's correct.
See, because from what I understand, and I'm just going to do the quick math here. So there's going to be 16 groups of 3 teams for 48. The cut down then becomes 24 teams, right? And then they kind of move from there. So because right now the World Cup you're seeing on Thursday, blockbuster, by the way, in that first game.
Yeah.
Is 32 teams. So you're adding 16 more teams, and Canada can't be part of it?
I'm telling you, with my angry Irish blood, and I've seen how they change things around last minute, I don't trust these guys.
No, I know.
I don't trust them.
I know.
Them in the IOC. I swear.
IOC's worse than FIFA. I know they're cousins.
Yeah. Oh, they know each other.
They might even be brothers.
Yeah. No, I think it's the same family. I think it's the same family.
But yeah, so 48 teams. Well, Mexico, that's a qualified team. The United States, traditionally a qualified team.
Yes.
Canada's the only question mark.
As I said, you got to think, Dave, for young kids watching a sport, the thing that is like a swoon of grassroots support is when you do well or have something in your own backyard.
Yes.
I mean, the Own the Podium in Vancouver, to me, was a real line in the sand for winter amateur athletics, and because the country got behind it, so that meant money. So money has to be spent by your government to say that this is important, Dave, because you're just like, okay, everyone, let's try even harder. That's not how it works.
No.
That's not how it works. So for the CPL, so now you're going to have young guys on there looking at now, like whether it's in York or Winnipeg or Calgary or Halifax, Hamilton. Now you're going to know in 8 years if you work your ass off. So we're talking about what? Kids in high school right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kids in high school. This is the
Even
game.
junior high, yeah.
In junior, this is the game changer. This is a game changer for this sport in this country, and it doesn't happen often. And sometimes, quite honestly, it may never happen. So this is really, really, I think, a real boon, a real gift for the CPL. What do you think? If you're in those areas, if you're York 9, if you're Valour, if you're Calgary Cavalry, if all those places, all of a sudden, do you feel like this is going to be something that, because this is what they were hoping for, goes right into the national blood, right into the program? I think it does. I think it's a real chance. The question is, for corporations, Dave, for those that have money, for our government, do they see that as an important tool to our culture? Is it part of the fabric to all of a sudden also throw in soccer? We know what it is participation-wise, and by the numbers, Dave, it's probably, I'm not saying on par with hockey. Again, I'm not talking about popularity. I'm saying participation.
Exceeds hockey, actually.
Yeah, okay, so exceeds hockey.
Yeah.
But now we got to talk about competition.
And we're talking about we're talking about participation. We're not talking about level of love.
Yes, yeah, and let's just say as well, we're talking about the men, because the women have already achieved a level of excellence
completely, and
have pretty much been our best national team. I'm taking away the hockey players, obviously the pros, but in the last 20 years, I would say it's been the women's soccer program, and you can't take that away from them.
No, you can't. You could make an argument and go one step further that Christine Sinclair is perhaps the greatest Canadian athlete in the last 30 years.
We've had some of them on our show. We had them back on TSN 1050. They are unbelievable athletes, and I put them in terms of country love.
Yep.
So let's just say, if we're talking about, depending on your age group, if the 72 Team Canada Paul Henderson, era was the greatest Canadian team that they had. Geez, you know what? It might be that women's soccer team. They might be
After
two for
them?
me.
Yeah.
For me, they're probably two.
They're in that conversation if you're looking at like a podium performance of Canadian great teams.
Yeah,
right?
that's not NHL players.
No.
So there's your caveat.
No, because everybody will sit there and go, 2002 in Salt Lake, the Vancouver 2010 team, the 2014 that's fine. Like we know that Canada could put 6 good Olympic teams in hockey and do, probably finish top 3 in all of them.
Just like the Germans and the Brazilians could do the same thing if it was soccer.
Soccer. Bingo.
How about the Spanish coach on the eve of the thing getting gassed?
I know, man. I thought, I was writing up some reports for Group H, which we'll talk about later on in the week, next week, whatever it works when they play. And there was a big deal made about Japan gassing their manager 2 months before, because it's like, You're playing in 2 months. No, they're playing in 72 hours.
Hours.
So it's like,
and
that's massive.
He accepted the job after Zinedine Zidane at Real. So he had that. There's something weird that happened there because they were pissed. Like, this was not we've decided. No, it's like, he's gone. We have fired. I think the translation is, we have fired our coach because we don't like him now, and he's a bad person, and we hope only bad things like a fire for his house. Good night. It's just really not good. So this is going to be a very interesting, which is why, and maybe I'll play, here's some sort of Eurosport thing. You ready for this? So as it happens, Dave, it is the Blade Tape Raw Mike Richards World Cup. It's yet another extravaganza. So it has gone out. If you have not received your invite via Office Pools, I think that's the company. No, I didn't realize they're like, and so you're picking games.
Yes, all of them.
Results.
Yes.
I talked to Ted yesterday. I said, I wasn't planning on spending my whole night researching like 48 games.
It takes 5 minutes.
He goes, you don't have to do you just like the first round.
Yeah.
I said, well, I did all 48.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I already signed in.
I did 48. So they're all in there, and I see that it says Stanley Cup Chase. So that was the winner of the hockey pool.
Okay.
In again, and I found out the name of that person. And so we will, because we've got to get some pictures, announce this thing, because that was hilarious. I've done some Smack Talk already. And we have to also announce the winner of Smack Talk, and that has already been decided as well. And I see it's growing already. So if you don't and haven't received an invite, it could be that you haven't subscribed to rawmike.richards.com. So if you're watching this, all our new viewers and listeners in Calgary via the Fan 960, if you want to be in this and you've got 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, the games start on Thursday. Game started Thursday, 11 o'clock.
Yeah. So it's about 24 hours.
Yeah. And to give you a hint about that, the first game is a draw. It's a draw.
Dave, no. I promised myself.
The draw.
No one gets help on this one.
Oh, okay.
No,
Sorry.
I'm mad about the hockey pool. I'm still angry. Team Sad Sex is even sadder. So now you can watch it, but you ain't getting no tips. That's this guy. No tips for you. So subscribe or ask a question right on Twitter. We don't mind doing it. We don't mind, and Ted will get a hold of you.
Today is Wednesday too. Yeah,
yes,
so it's tomorrow.
24 hours. 24 hours.
I keep on getting, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, Russia, Saudi Arabia kick off the World Cup. There's only one game tomorrow. And then on the Friday, there's the 3. On the Saturday, of course, there's 4. So, and it's on. And you're going to be looking at usually a minimum of 3 to games, sometimes 4. For the first couple weeks, and this is outstanding. I love everything about the World Cup except the backers of it.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you where they're having fun.
CFL starts tomorrow too, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, Sports Interaction going to be a little busy in my household.
Big
And
time.
you know what? And tomorrow, we will go over some of that.
Yes.
What the hell? We'll be nice.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who, but I've sent out a text to somebody that we've talked about many times on the show, who has short blonde hair, rather muscular, looks like a linebacker that plays quarterback and wore number 16. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
Mike Kerrigan?
Well, he wore number 2, unfortunately.
Yeah. Trust me, it wasn't Mike Kerrigan.
No, nobody was like this guy. Now it's a 50-50 proposition, so I'm not going to sit there and commit to it, but it has been addressed, and I'm crossing my fingers that it works out. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, we'll get him on another time.
Awesome. You're watching rawmike.richards.com, or as many of you are subscribing to the YouTube channel, keep doing it. Get that number up there. We'd love to see it. We could hit a pretty cool number by the weekend if you keep going. Speaking of pretty cool, I mean, we've seen NHL players win a Stanley Cup and then show up on Letterman. I guess we've seen Letterman.
Yeah,
You've
Letterman.
seen Conan O'Brien's had guys on. And I suppose Fallon has. But the rounds that Ovi are making, Ovi is really enjoying his time as a winner. So here's Jimmy Fallon. He's with Holtby in this case. They're going to show a clip of him enjoying himself in downtown Washington. And then they bring Triple Crown winner, the jockey, Mike Smith.
Yep.
And then they all drink out of the Stanley Cup on national television in the States. This is pretty good. So property of, what is that, NBC? Property NBC, National Hockey League, the Jockeys of America Association, whatever this is. But this is fun, and you got to love the fact that they're promoting the game the way they are.
Well, I've seen you out celebrating with the Stanley Cup. You guys got together. I don't know where this was. Was this in D.C. yesterday? Do you know what I'm talking about here? He just jumped in a fountain, and that's it. I mean, look at that. Come on. But dude, you went nuts with the fans. Here's what I like about you, is that you're celebrating with the fans. You're celebrating with the crowd. You're not like on a yacht somewhere just going like, yeah, that's right, we won. You're actually bringing it back to D.C. and down to actually your fans and celebrating with those guys. That's pretty cool that you guys do that, because you get to share it with everybody, and they're all proud of you.
Yeah.
I heard that you brought the Stanley Cup with you tonight, and that we might have a drink out of. Is that true?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Ovechkin's lost his English in the last week.
Oh, I bet. He's lost his voice. Wow. But this is pretty cool.
This is it. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty. All right. Well, I'm honored to do this with you guys. This is awesome, and I have something that I think will make it even better.
Crazy.
This guy made history this weekend at the Belmont Stakes when he and his horse Justify won the Triple Crown. Please welcome one of the greatest jockeys in horse racing, Mike Smith, ladies and gentlemen.
This is pretty cool.
Thank you. Oh, there you go right there, guys. Mike Smith, come on.
Thank you very much.
Braden, Mike. I have some paper straws. Oh. Here you go. Yeah, let's do it like that, civilized. Ready? On the count of 3. Let's see how far we can get. 1, 2, 3. Wait, guys, it's taking too long. It's taking too long. I think you know what you got to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
No. That isn't that great? Isn't that, you talk about what the NHL needs and what it's marketing, that. And guess what? That was free.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And you know what's really funny? You read some of the commentary on social media going, Ovechkin's overdoing it, or Ovechkin play. I mean,
come on.
Grab a life. I mean, honestly,
seriously.
Just relax a little bit, okay? Man, I'd like to think if that ever happened to me, that I would at least match that, if not exceed it.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that.
with how happy I would be to, like, when I was a kid, to get my first, because I've gotten a chance to see the Stanley Cup multiple times. We've gotten a chance to see it together when it was brought to our set. There's still that moment when you see it, even if you've seen it many, many times, or when you touch it or anything like that. Like, I like that trophy so much that the only thing I said to my fiance, now wife at the time, was the Stanley Cup will be our wedding cake.
And it's true.
And sure enough,
true.
Our cake was the life-size exact measurement of that, the greatest trophy in the world.
And he's not joking. So we can even, tomorrow, I don't think you have it today. I want to see a picture of that, because you've got a picture. You got pictures.
Multiple pictures,
yeah.
Yes.
And like the exact dimensions. So like when God told Moses to build the covenant.
Yes, that's
or Noah the ark. This is what Dave heard in his sleep. I want you to recreate the cup for your special day. And,
you know what?
And Dave said, I said, God? He goes, no, I think it was Dale Howardchuk. Same thing. Same thing.
Hey, I don't know if you know about this, but Dale Howardchuk actually sent me a message on my wedding day as well. It's actually on YouTube. If you type in Dale Howardchuk, David Bastel, you will see a message from Dale Howard. I swear to God.
It's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yes, because my friend that got it for me posted it to YouTube, and I was like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And it's basically he asked Dale, he said, you remember Dave, blah, blah, blah. And he said, yeah. And he said, he's getting married on Saturday. Could you send him a note? And they actually videotaped him. And I think Rusty you probably see it somewhere in there. If you look, Dale Howardchuk, wedding message for me. You'll be able to find it. But yeah, not a word of a lie.
He'll say, that guy again. I totally told him I can't be his best man.
I was going to send him a wedding invite.
No,
just
of course
to say
you
I
were.
sent it.
Of course you were.
God knows he wouldn't have accepted. It's like, who the hell's this dude?
Well, we'll look for it. Again, in speaking of celebrations, now look, I knew it would be big. I mean, you have to realize how long that they've been suffering Caps fans. I know a couple of them. Chris from the Tokes, who watches the show out in Calgary, is certainly one of them. But to see the size of the parade, to see the number of people that were out there,
yep,
I got to admit, I didn't think it was going to be this big. So, Russell, we'll take a look at these shots. Now, this was live streamed from probably their local affiliate. And when I saw the number of people, I was shocked. And you know what? Good on them. This is a celebration in D.C. for the Capitals, unlike anything I ever thought I'd see in Washington for the NHL.
We see ourselves
Look at that.
reflected in the team. We see ourselves reflected in the struggle. We see ourselves reflected in the triumph. We see ourselves reflected in the tenacity, in the spirit of this city. This is a city that is embracing these Caps with open arms, always has, but it's an even...
You ain't seen nothing yet, BTO in the background. You watch, they'll copyright us.
That 40-pound Stanley Cup.
Look at that, though.
We'll see many players hit this stage. We'll see players at...
Now, they're going to do an overhead in a couple of minutes here. And I swear to God...
we'll hear unique stories, like, for an example, Braden Holt.
There might be more... Look at that. More people for this than maybe the inauguration.
And
yes.
Braden Holt...
Even more, yes.
Yeah, but Trump would say, no, that's a lie.
But
But it's
during games that he plays,
it's true.
Become like a ritual thing. He doesn't think he's the greatest guitar player, but when he started playing that guitar, then they went on a streak of winning like 20-something games. So now he always plays that guitar before some of the hockey games. So there's so many stories.
Did you know that, Dave? They won the hockey.
Ice hockey.
But they are like everybody else.
But that is incredible.
They're all human beings. They have lives. They have hobbies. They play the guitar.
Good on DC for supporting that. That really, again, another franchise that you're never really quite sure south of the border how it's going to end up. And look, sometimes you can only win so many times and not win the big one where people start turning it off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what was painful was during that time where the Atlanta Braves, where they had that pitching staff that was like, what are they, with all Hall of Famers?
Yeah.
All Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
And they kept showing up and then not winning. So they won it once.
Yeah.
In that decade where they could have won
9 times.
Yeah.
They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
And there they are again. You know, the same way people started feeling with the Buffalo Bills at that point.
Yes, 4 in a row.
And it was like, oh God, here are the Bills again. How are they gonna blow this?
And the way they lost some of them too. With
Painful.
The wide right.
Yeah.
And, it's too bad. It's funny sometimes because it's not my team.
It's not my team. But I had a chance to talk to Marv Levy, and so I talked to him about that. And I said, but your program was successful. And Marv's he goes, I'm so glad you said it that way, because that's right, Mike. It was a program. It was a program because when you continually have that kind of success, it's hard to get to the championship game.
Yeah.
And even harder to win it. That's why these guys who sometimes, you see them with all these, like Tom Brady to me is, I'm sorry, but it's godlike. It truly is godlike. He could get there again.
Yes, he could.
He could get there again. It's incredible. Now, speaking of incredible, there are times where I take a look at the advancements in technology, and the only downfall is that it involves human beings. Social media is one of them. Has it brought things to our life? Well, it's the reason maybe a lot of you are able to see the show or found out about the show. That's maybe how you watch it every day. And then there's the problem of the frailties of the human mind and soul, where you can be despicable. Now, this is not settled, but it is a story out of Ottawa that has made, and you probably is trending. You've heard about this. But when I saw this morning, Dave, my jaw hit the ground because of the content. It may be disturbing to some. I'll be honest, if you're watching it, it may be disturbing to some. This is courtesy of the CBC. I thought they could explain it best as the story comes out of Ottawa.
The wife of Senators Captain Erik Karlsson applied for a peace bond, seeking protection against the fiancé of Senators forward Mike Hoffman. Melinda Karlsson applied for the bond against Monica Carrick, fearing for her safety. In the court documents, Melinda alleges Carrick uttered numerous statements wishing her unborn child dead. Late November, the Carlsons announced that they were expecting their first child, and their son, Axel, though, was still born in March. Carlson also states Carrick uttered that she wished that she was dead and that someone should also take out her husband's legs to end his career, and that Carrick posted over 1,000 negative and derogatory statements. The peace bond was sworn on May 4th, and a court document was set for the 25th. But that appearance didn't happen. And Ian, no word, in fact, if the bond actually has been served on Carrick.
No word and very few comments, but there is some reaction on the record.
That's right. The Senators are looking into these allegations. In a statement, they say, "We are investigating this matter in cooperation with the NHL and will take whatever steps are necessary to protect the safety and privacy of our players and their families." As for Hoffman, he denied the allegations in a statement to the Ottawa Citizen, saying it's 150% that it's not us.
Thanks, Hannah.
Sorry, that is the story coming out of Ottawa. You should know that the peace bond to this point, which is the same as a restraining order. That's the American version. I know because when I first came back from Calgary to here, I had to get one against somebody. Yeah, that was fun.
Oof.
That's a great way to start your radio station. But part of that process is when you do go for the peace bond, then they will bring up all the reasons why it's necessary. And that's kind of where all this will come out.
And at that time, there has to be substantial, not evidence, but evidence-like material that the law enforcement will say yes to it, because you just can't. I can't come up to you and say, this guy over here is bothering me. Can you? And the cop will sit there and go, "You got it. What's the first name?" It's like I have to bring some sort of substantial evidence
that there would be bodily harm.
Bingo.
Right, so that there is legitimate harm coming your way. I can't imagine that someone would, in the most deplorable of conditions, ridicule or threaten someone who's just lost their infant, a stillborn child. I mean, if you've been through it, it is devastating for all those involved, the entire family, and anyone who surrounds it. It's really very painful.
Yes, exactly.
So the fact that someone would go after that. Now, this is where it comes up again with these burner accounts. That wording has come up again in this, which is why Hoffman said, no, it's not my fiance. But you never really quite know. It's just that someone either thought this was a good idea or this was a way to get back at someone. Maybe you're just a hockey fan. Let's say it was an account that isn't actually associated with the two, but someone thought of this idea. And this is where I think I take a look at that technology, which can be so helpful, as in so many cases, that we've come so far that we have the ability to share this information, and someone's going to use it for this.
Yeah.
And this is where we fail as human beings.
100% well said. And the other thing that adds to it, now these are just other Twitter mentions, but remember the source as I read them out. So Andrew Hammond played a couple of years with the Ottawa Senators. The wife, girlfriend, was associated with the club as well. She tweets in on this, "Oh man, if you only knew how unsurprising this actually is. Horrible, just horrible. And the worst part of it is how she, as in Melinda Curry, that's Carlson's wife, just wanted to keep this private because that's the kind of nice person she is, even when someone is this cruel to her." Kyle Turris, who played with the Senators for many years before being traded this season to Nashville. This crosses the line of cyberbullying and entirely different. Unfortunately, that this private matter has become public. Incredibly proud of my girl for standing up for herself and her family. Took the courage to do it. Jason LaBarbera.
Barb's.
The wife.
Friend of
the wife. Her fixation, that's Hoffman's girlfriend, fixation on Mel has always been unhealthy. Then it became scary. So glad Mel is protecting herself. No team will welcome this girl to the room.
If that is true, we could probably.
And I'm reading social media commentary from players' wives associated with this. I have nothing to do with this. Mike has nothing to do with this.
No.
We are reading off of social media, but sometimes, as you say, the closest ones to the situation shine the brightest light.
Well, and also, Dave, as you know, being a married man, women find out things, they know things.
Yes, they do.
And I don't think necessarily someone like Jason LeBarber's wife. She was also on Hockey Wives. They also followed them a little bit. They can figure out maybe who the bad apple is.
Oh, yeah.
And they just, it's just in they're more intuitive than men are. They just are. And so, boy, I hope it's somehow wrong. Like deep down, I'm really hoping that someone wouldn't stoop to that level. But if it turns out the other way, then what do you do? Like if this turns out to be true, and right now we don't know. Everything's unsubstantiated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hasn't gone through the courts. So before you point the finger and so on, is that people are closer to it than us. They've just read some of those tweets and responses on the internet. But what if it was true? What do you do? Like if you're Hoffman, that's your fiance?
Yeah, you should have a pretty good indication of what kind of person you're about to spend the rest of your life with.
You can't support that.
And alter that decision.
It's one thing to say, you have a burner account. She's mad about Carlson. Maybe there's something going on there. Maybe something that she thinks, again, between the fiance and says, I hope he breaks his legs, whatever. It'd be a poor... But again, people get emotional. It was one or two. But they're saying thousands. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the loss of stillborn,
that's special place in hell.
Yeah,
for those
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah. You're watching rawmikeRichards.com, either on the website. And once again, if you subscribe to the website, this will help you get into the soccer pool. This is what we're looking for. So it starts in 24 hours.
So you entered your team, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to reveal your team name, or are you going to?
It is Irish Revenge.
Okay. I went with a theme that we've been talking about this week. I went with Russell the Jobber.
Is that on there?
It is on there.
Because I think there's a couple of Russells in there, too.
Russell is becoming a folk hero of this entire show.
I know.
Rightfully so.
He loves it. He goes, I'll show those guys. Sure they're so good.
Speaking of burner accounts, this is the good version. This is the good version of a burner account.
So we do have, oh, my goodness. So this is on YouTube.
This is on YouTube. Yeah, has over 400 views. I don't know why, but it does.
Okay, we're gonna. This is Dave, who is the biggest Jets fan of all time and the biggest booster of Dale Hawerchuk of all time, who had a Stanley Cup cake for his wedding. His wife allows this.
Yes.
And someone let Dale Hawerchuk know, and on YouTube there was a response from the legend. Van Halen, property of Van Halen.
I didn't do this, by the way.
Yeah.
Where's the audio on this?
Is there audio on this?
There is. Uh-oh.
Now, I can't see this. Is this a friend of yours?
Yeah, but this works when you actually type it in.
Well, so you just pile over with the music.
Yeah. No, but there was the audio. Do you think maybe it's two-channel?
Maybe it's a channel thing. There it is. But there was the legendary message from Dale Hawerchuk.
Yeah. You got to trust me when you look it up. It was actually there. Yeah. Surprised that never worked out.
Something else out of Ottawa, which is very upsetting.
Uh-oh.
And I did not
Tell me more.
I did not see this coming, Dave. There are a lot of criticisms about our leader. It even hurts to say our leader, but the leader that was chosen in Canada.
The leader everybody voted for.
Justin Trudeau.
You people did.
And so this was, I believe, during the G7 where something really weird came up. Now, this came from Americans First. And it has to do with Justin in a way that I just really didn't see coming. So, property of CNN and done by that woman, that does all the crazy stories. I don't know what her name is. She's
Jeannie Marr. Is that it from CNN?
She's got that scratchy voice. She does a great job.
Yeah,
though.
She does.
So now they're apparently
Jeannie Mo.
Is that what it is? Because this is fantastic. Well, if you're the audience, if you're Justin Trudeau, you really, as a world leader, don't want people talking about whether you wear fake eyebrows or not.
Oh, no.
When organizers were getting all picky about the G7 summit backdrop, maybe something in the foreground should have raised eyebrows, specifically the Canadian Prime Minister's eyebrow.
Consistently stood up for Canadian interests.
Is that a falling fake eyebrow, an eyebrow malfunction? Cracked one critic. I could use Trudeau's removable eyebrows as bait next time I go fishing. Joked another, maple syrup is not an adequate eyebrow adhesive. Mr. Trudeau was compared to Mr. Potato Head with Mr. Potato Brows. Talk about being browbeaten. Someone replaced the Prime Minister's brows with Donald Trump's signatures.
Where we disagree.
Soon debunkers were fact-checking and analyzing the Prime Minister's eyebrow architecture with its extra bushy bottom. Dude, he just has a weird eyebrow, tweeted one defender. They blamed the lighting for casting shadows and pointed to more head-on angles that look normal. We turned to experts on fake brows, makeup artists who seemed puzzled by the video.
They look fake.
Shadow. Something weird's going on. I don't know.
After we showed them the natural configuration of his brows. Now what do you think?
That's his eyebrows in that video.
His eyebrows. His eyebrows.
In all their years of applying makeup and false eyelashes, the makeup artists we talked to have never heard of anyone putting false eyebrows on a newsmaker. Canadians are known for their
polite and cordial context.
Except when it comes to lowbrow jokes like Justin Trudeau's eyebrow makes a dash for freedom. Jeannie Mo, CNN.
There you go. She is just fantastic.
Yeah, she's awesome. Very creative.
But what wasn't how bizarre was that?
I've never noticed that. I've never seen that.
It's so.
And trust me, there's too much CNN in our house. Too much.
So yeah. Well, you know what?
And it's not coming from me.
We've got CP24 on. Linda's got CP24 on the time.
Exactly.
I've bailed from watch. I can't watch city news anymore. I can't watch the high school students with their phones in front of them.
You mean you don't like stand-ups like this? And the cat ended up being saved. David Bastel, City News.
And from Moscow, that is the decision from FIFA. Are we live? Oh. Today there was a take 3. No, we're live. Like, it's just shit.
It is.
It's like,
it is. And they're sitting there like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Remember when you used to memorize stuff?
Yeah. Remember
there was colleges for this?
Remember there was people who were, professional? Remember? They hired professionals to do the news. They even had, in the day, they had certain voices. It was like, that's the voice. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear this voice. That's the voice of voice of a nation. For City Pulse, I'm, that's what it's like. I mean, we're not going to say it's Russell. Okay, Russell, could you just sign off and could you say Russell Graham, City Pulse News? Just say that. Get the Russ cam too. Look at the Russ cam, and here we go. Here we go.
It's gonna be good.
I want to see how it happens. And action.
Russell Graham, City Pulse News.
I'll see. Okay.
I think he's in.
That is. I guess that's a promo today.
Yeah, I hope he's not leaving us for a better job.
You watch. Welcome tomorrow. What happened? Well, they saw the tape. They saw how much I work for, and both work. Okay. Here's. These are people who know how to do television. You know that I have a fixation for real obvious reasons why Italia television is better than any other television. And this was put together. It's like, well, Mike, I don't know what they're saying. And all the Italians wouldn't tell me. All the Italians, Luch and all those guys, hey, it's a secret. We're not telling you what they're saying. Damn you guys. Damn you Italians.
They probably don't know. That's why.
Bastardos. So here is, and get a load of this. This is Italian television. Once again, an excellent show, minus the Italian, because guess what? You kind of don't need it. Dave, get a load of this. Now tell me that's not a DJ Styles. Look, they'll slow it down. They'll zoom in. That is an excellent show. Look at, like, that's Heidi Klum pretty kind of. I mean, okay, Russell, while this is going on, I want you to say Russell Graham, City Pulse. You got to hurry though.
Russell Graham, City Pulse.
Yep, that just happened.
He's hired.
He is, just me. City might want to hire her. Oh my God. Oh, clapping as ladies and gentlemen. That might be.
She's in.
That might be. I mean,
speaking of good-looking Italians.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Coach Frank. Today.
Is it today?
Today is birthday. Happy birthday, Coach Frank.
Oh,
I would give you a Paul Stanley, but my voice is shot.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that. Fratello.
Any guess on how old he is? Because it surprised me.
Bon cumpleaños. Bon cumpleaños.
Yeah.
How old?
How old?
He looks young, though.
Yeah, but he surprised me by his age.
Is he 57?
See, that's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought. No, 34.
34, Coach
34,
Frank.
yeah.
Bravo. Love that family.
Very good family.
Yeah,
Top to bottom. Yeah. Exactly.
Now, the U.S. Open.
Yes.
So it was a year ago.
Yes.
That DJ wins. And then Paulina Gretzky shows up in her white dress.
She sure does.
And no one remembers Dustin Johnson. No one. No one is like, do you remember one last year? I don't. Oh, yeah, it must have been DJ because Paulina was there with that. It was like a short white tennis dress. Is that what you'd call it? I don't know what you'd call it. Does Vicky like tennis, by the way?
I'm pretty sure she does. And speaking of Vicky,
yeah,
I am shocked that you haven't started following her on Instagram.
Oh, no, I have. No, that's
have you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I checked like last week, and my wife and I were joking about it. I said, "Oh, it's a matter of time. Don't worry, they'll find it.
Oh no,
they'll find each other."
Because she found me.
Okay,
and
good.
so it says following. I said, and then I saw the name. I went, "Oh, this could be really good."
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
okay, good. Okay, you're a step ahead,
Yeah.
which is the normal.
Well,
Yeah.
you gotta do what you gotta do. So even though this is not the music from this particular tournament, here we go. There it is. So now this is the flyover of Shinnecock, which is not the easiest. This is the first hole, Dave, as we take a look at it.
Yep.
But there's a lot of junk, right? There's a lot
Tons.
of fescue is everywhere. The first cut and the second cut, you don't want to get to that because you get into the junk and it's really tough to get out.
Russell told me that you want to put the ball in the fairway on this course.
Oh, can't believe he doesn't work for PGA Tour Radio. And then once you get to this green, which you're like, oh, that doesn't seem that hard, really? Look at this.
In 10 directions.
Look at it. Look at it. So unless you stick that thing, it goes to the front. You're probably rolling off.
Russell also told me you want to stay out of the sand.
Yeah, he said sand is scary. He goes, have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? Russell, please, just concentrate on your job. So there are also, obviously, the winds, as it talks about, but, this is a par 3. What is it, 252 yards, I think they said? But just look where the landing spot is. You've got to be so accurate. And the U.S. Open has the typical reference, tough but fair. Here's a nice 500-yarder.
Par 4, by the way, not 5. 4.
Yeah. This is not what we'll be playing when we go to Hockley Valley for Aiden's Drive with Jay Barker.
That's right. July the 10th.
Look at all the traps halfway, and they know where to put them to. But once again, you're going to have the ability to really get a handle on the ball. So who do you like in this so far? Have you because we can look at this tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we can look at this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But you know what? While we're here, let's go over it. DJ. Obviously, now the thing is, and a lot of people forget about this. The thing is, just because he's the defending champ doesn't mean that he's a given. Because U.S. Open tournaments travel every year, so this isn't the same course he won at last year. So don't sit there and go, "Oh, he could do it again."
And I don't care what he does on Thursday.
Exactly.
I don't care what it is on Friday.
No, exactly.
It's the Sunday, and I am pretty sure. Ricky Fowler. A lot of people talking about Ricky this tournament for some reason.
You know what? And Ricky Fowler recently engaged to Allison Stokey, and I think you know who that is.
He's done well.
He's done very well for himself. Yes. The just look up pole vaulting on Twitter, and you'll.
He wins. He wins. Just so you know, he wins.
You'll find it.
She was our Mike Richards Girl of the Day about 400 times in a row.
I thought it was more, but yeah. Anyway, Dustin Johnson is the favorite in this one. He's paying 7-1. Justin Rose comes in at number 2, 13. Rory McIlroy might be somebody that you watch for at 15-1. Justin Thomas at 18-1. Jason Day at 17. Ricky comes in at 19 with Jordan Spieth. and Tiger Woods at 19, by the way. That is way overvalued. John Rahm, who is my dark horse in this one, is paying 21-1. And then after that, it gets into the 20s and 30s. You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to do some lucky picks. Like a Tony Finau at 58-1 might be something you look at. Bubba Watson hits at large at 68-1. Jimmy Walker, Dynamite, 75-1, guys like that. Adam Hadwin, top Canadian, 100-1 to win the U.S. Open at Shinnecock.
And there it is. So we'll be watching that, gambling on that. So we'll talk about a lot of that stuff tomorrow, including obviously which way we want to go. Here's what's this now? Let's see. By the way, just so you know, when our stuff goes out, people are unsubscribing when they just subscribe, and because it shows up your phone before you see what it is, it will say, do you wish to unsubscribe to this?
Oh, really?
And people are unsubscribing, and they don't even know they're doing it. And I can tell, I'll give you a huge name who would never do this, but she obviously just saw something from, and the way that it's worded, and Ted said they have to do it legally. That's how they do this, that they have to put that out there. And let's see how many we got. And I bet you all these people who have been signing up, maybe we know who this person is. No, I'm not sure. Lisa Varga.
No.
Unsubscribed. Lisa Varga unsubscribed. And Lisa didn't even know. She didn't even know what it was. That's the problem. So don't just throw it away when you see it. By the way, before we leave, the Raptors have done something that I'm going to have to wait on the fence on this one, but Nick Nurse.
Good way of putting it, too.
They
hired a guy off the same bench.
Within, when you hire an assistant, the team is used to, like, there's two schools of it, and the normal school is don't do it. The normal sense is if you hire an assistant, they have a different kind of voice. Now, regardless of the team, or regardless of the sport, when you hire within and it's an assistant, sometimes you don't have the same kind of voice, obviously, that a head coach does. So it's a little risky and, quite frankly, not done that often. But Nick Nurse, who's been around, he's been around for I'd say probably the better part of 30 years.
Yep.
He's got tremendous amount of experience. Blah 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 goes on. But the thing is, if I'm looking at this team and I'm saying that it's the same roster that's going to hit that floor that hit the floor last year, and not Dwayne Casey and an assistant. How much better did they get in the offseason?
Bingo. Did your hiring surpass what you had in place?
Now, again, this is why I think when you look at it,
big
and
shoulder shrugs.
Yeah. So if Dwayne Casey, who's now with Detroit, and I get that, it's
5-year deal.
It's a great deal for Detroit. The Pistons were very aggressive going after him because Dwayne could have waited a year. He could have waited a year, but there's a lot of things that he wanted to do, and part of it is the revitalization of Detroit's downtown. Because that's who he is. He's a community guy. They have serious issues in Flint, Michigan, and one of them is with their water. Well, he wanted to be a part of that, so he felt he could do all these things and then be the kind of coach that will bring defense back to a Pistons team that in the last couple of years just didn't have any, which is strange for a team whose reputation was only about defense. They didn't have any, so he'll bring that accountability. I guess they got to really pray that Griffin.
Drummond, do you mean?
No, Griffin. Why am I drawing?
Blake Griffin.
Sorry.
Blake. Oh, Blake, yes. They picked him up. That's right. I keep on forgetting he's there.
If Blake is 100%, then does he become, and just think about it, so is he going to be the upgrade over the DeMar DeRozan, over that combination with a Kyle Lowry, to then get you to an Eastern Conference final? Because that's what you have to measure yourself against.
Yep.
And we don't know where LeBron's going.
He's not going to Detroit.
Yeah, so we don't know at this point. So that means if he doesn't go to Houston, and there's a lot of things that would have to go on to make that work, what if it is Philadelphia? What if it was a weird thing like going to Boston?
See, I don't see – I've heard the Boston thing like you have, but I just don't see him wanting to head to Kyrie Irving country.
Yeah, but then maybe he gets shipped out.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because
there was a notification I got from the Score yesterday, a direct quote from Kyrie Irving, I believe. It said, signing back in Boston doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to look for it.
But as far as LeBron signing in Boston?
Or Kyrie?
About Kyrie re-signing in Boston.
Interesting.
Look, it's still on the list because there's not many teams that can do this.
No.
And it certainly is going to come down to monetarily, because he's not, trust me, no haircut. There'll be no hometown discount or whatever you want to call it. Well, I guess that doesn't apply in this case, but he's not coming in at a discounted rate. He's on the Players Association. He's just not going to do that. It's a bad precedent for players to take less. That's just how the world is, and he's not going to do it. So for the Raptors, as I said, the roster, once I see who comes out on that court, but I am of the mind that I don't believe you're going to see some crazy change. I mean, look, if you don't like Kyle or you think that he gets hurt or the contract's too big, try moving it.
Yeah.
Try moving it. Again, you get into a situation. Is it possible? Yeah, there's always the possibility of a deal. But what do you have to give up to get? That's how the world works.
Let me ask you this. Are you feeling better about the decision if the Raptors came out and selected a Jerry Stackhouse, who was in the organization, not on the bench, but coaching the 905, has a very good NBA background?
But I think I'm just being impressed by the name, because of Jerry Stackhouse for all the reasons you just mentioned. But my thing is, who's a better coach,
Bingo.
Dwayne Casey
right.
or Jerry Stackhouse? So I didn't get better. Like, if you're going to do something, it's got to be to get better. And I think when you have someone who's up for Coach of the Year, and you send him to Detroit, he's not a vindictive guy, but he is a competitor. So
he'll want to take the boots.
Right.
So he should.
So Detroit all of a sudden got that much better. You want to jump in, Russ Beef?
I was just clarifying the Kyrie thing. So he's still under contract. It's just he wants to sign an extension next summer as opposed to signing it this summer. So he's still with Boston.
Right.
I thought his contract was up, but still under contract.
Well, we'll wait and see because
you should get him to sign off after that.
Oh, yeah. So thank you. Russ, you got to...
Yeah.
Yep. Camera, please.
Russell Graham, City Pulse News.
Thank you.
I'm telling you.
We should make him do that from now on.
and
I know he's going on holiday soon, but when he comes back and he says something, at the end of it, whatever it is, sign off.
I see Jim Nance has come back. It's not what I was going to play. All of a sudden, sorry. Mike Richards from Shinnick. I can't say cock. Can I say cock? Oh, God, I just did. Cock.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yes, we did.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep. It's time!
Did I tell people? I love doing this show. I love doing this show. People say, what do you think? You know, what it's going. I hear you on Calgary, blah, 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 all these things happening. It's great to do the show, and I'm glad that you've joined us. It's a lot of fun. Tomorrow, we could have a huge guest.
Could have, yep. Still haven't heard back, but you know what? It's only 11 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, but there'll be lots to talk about. It'll be a gambling show, especially for World Cup soccer. Remember, don't unsubscribe before you see what comes to your phone. And it's only on the phones. It's the phones that does it.
Really,
so
right?
That thing is going out today to get you into the World Cup. Make sure you're careful about what you unsubscribe to in the next 24 hours. Join the pool, your chance to win, win, win.